Coming in hot, I'm your host and captain of the Reason to Reason podcast, Sal Galati. We're going to do something a little bit different. You're just going to get a taste, a dose of reason. Today I'm going to talk about the media and in particular PBS and NPR, which I'm calling modern-day PRAVDA. And these are government-funded media outlets. We'll talk about why that's wrong. But let me give you a little history lesson on PRAVDA. PRAVDA was the essentially Soviet state-run media. It meant truth, which is laughable, and it was propaganda. And it was to further the aims of the Communist Party. And Lenin had a lot of editorial influence on the paper, which told you that it wasn't purely informative, it was propaganda. And the thing about propaganda, too, we say propaganda, and people will say, well, whatever I looked at is propaganda and I'm propagandized. Yeah, the thing about propaganda is you don't recognize it's propaganda. It's sinister in a way it works. It's attractive. I associate it, quite frankly, a lot with the devil. I mean, the devil's a liar, and he's a very crafty and a good liar. So, we've been propagandized, I believe, like, for example, in our schools where we're told that, it's settled science and they know that we evolved from nothing. There's people that walk around thinking that's been proven true, and it is truth. And so I'd argue to anyone who believes that you've been propagandized. You've been robbed of your ability to think and reason, and certain things have been established in your mind as true, and they're not. And because of that, you're unable to actually pursue the truth. You've hamstrung yourself. So how is PBS, NPR, modern-day PRAVDA? I don't know if any of you have listened to the coverage there. It's extremely biased. I mean, even Bill Maher has called them crazy left of NPR. And it is. I mean, it's not really objective. It's very unhinged, loosey-goosey, especially regarding anything revolving Trump. But that said, Catherine Maher, NPR's president CEO, was getting grilled recently, and she said she now regrets having called President Trump a deranged racist sociopath, and asserting that America is addicted to white supremacy. And she now claims that NPR editorial team acknowledged the failure to cover the Hunter Biden laptop story was a mistake. So I don't know if anyone takes this as credible, these apologies. The fact that she had the gall to even say that in a position that she was in and not understand that that's not appropriate. She still has her job, and she's still getting government money, not to report information, but news. And, news is propaganda, narratives. How can you cover seriously and objectively the President of the United States if you think he is a deranged racist sociopath? What is the evidence for that? So obviously it's propaganda. And why is the government funding it? Now, like all things, it started off with good intentions. There wasn't a lot of programming available, and they wanted to have some publicly funded programming. We obviously have Sesame Street and all that kind of stuff, which propaganda seeped into there. Just focus on, educating the kids instead of putting ideas in their mind of things that are not true to be true. That all said, it doesn't have its use anymore. It's not necessary, especially given the track record of these institutions. So you have, and I just want people to think logically about this, even if you disagree with me. You have media, freedom of the press, who's meant to be a check on the government power. And one of the media outlets is actually funded by the government. How can this outlet objectively cover the government? And what you come to realize is, obviously presidents come and go and different parties are in power at different times. But the establishment, the people that are there, regardless of who the president is, the unelected bureaucracy, it obviously has a worldview of its own. And it's not sympathetic to what the majority of the country elected this time around. They're at odds with it. They hate it. They report against it. They lie about it. Here's a story out of the NPR where there was this politician investigating this Hunter Biden's essentially a shell companies. And it's pretty well established now. Again, these are these examples of things, 5 years ago it was a conspiracy theory. Now it's the truth, but let's move on. His dad's not the president anymore. It's pretty evident here that Hunter Biden had some very unethical, immoral, corrupt dealings involving his father, where he was paid money for nothing other than influence, okay? So instead of objectively chasing that, this NPR article, they attacked the lawmaker going after Hunter by saying he had shell companies, essentially lying, and it was proven to be a lie. But what else is this other than cover for politicians? It's an NPR article. Here's an observation I made. I think a lot of people have realized they've been lied to, but they're not getting mad at the entities that lied to them. They're more mad at the people that didn't buy the lie in the first place and were telling them they've been lied to. It's really an interesting dynamic. So when people ask me, and I've had people ask me, hey, Sal, like, how do you determine, what sources do you look at? How do you figure things out? And fine, you could laugh at me, but I read my Bible and I understand my Bible. To me, that's the source of truth. How could I even understand what's true or not if I don't understand what truth is? So an analogy someone gave me once was, it's not an analogy, a story of a guy that studied counterfeit $100 bills. They asked him, so how do you, what do you do to train your eye? You study, frauds. And he goes, I never look at a forgery. I study the real deal over and over and over again. And then from there, he could pick out the fraud. You train your eyes and your ears to perceive what is true and what's not. And you have life experiences. So I have an experience from my personal life. I'm in college. Our college apartment got robbed by the University of Illinois basketball team. This was back in whatever, it would have been 04, I think, where they went to the Final Four. It was the beginning of the season. Some of the notable players were involved with it. We decided not to pursue charges because we knew how that would have ended. We would have been persecuted on the campus for destroying the season. So instead, we somehow got checks from boosters and whatever. We gave an inventory of what was stolen, and that disappeared. What was interesting is the story that came out was that the basketball team went to a frat party and were given stolen goods. And from there, I saw the media is garbage. There's no truth in it. And it goes in line with things that Jefferson said that I've quoted here. Jefferson said, the man who never looks into a newspaper is better informed than he who reads them, inasmuch as he who knows nothing is nearer to the truth than he whose mind is filled with falsehood and errors. He had many other quotes regarding the media, so you could tell his opinion on them. I will say this, though. I use the media to try to figure out what's going on. So if the media is ignoring something, that's the story. That's something worth noting. So here's a couple things that the media is ignoring right now. The Christians being slaughtered by Muslims in Africa. Black-on-black violence. No Black Lives Matter outrage. None of our politicians taking a knee. Nothing going on there. The South African white farmers that are being killed and having their land ripped from them. Trump actually put out a video regarding that. There's a political party advocating for it in public. No mention of that. That's not an important story. If you remember that train that derailed in East Palestine, Ohio, and then they ended up having to burn it, and it was like poor communication. It was this big black cloud. I mean, people there now have cancer. Their homes are worthless. The Biden administration completely ignored them. That wasn't really reported. I mean, you couldn't blame climate change for that, so I guess that wasn't a story. So one thing I found is if the media ignores it, that's your story. If the media is harping it down your throat, there's a narrative there, and they're trying to propagandize you. Think of the Signal app fiasco that is blown over because it didn't have any legs. Think of the measles outbreak that they're trying to make a big deal. Now let's go a little bit more local. We have the situation in Deerfield going on, and I have a friend that's been kind of bringing me up to date on it, and I've learned some stuff from watching that too, and just how like the media covers things and shapes narratives. So simple things like that. The same event from the camera angle with no audio, no reporting, you can make it seem like there's a ton of people there or there's not any people there, just from the camera angle of the same scene. It's all how is it shaped. So what went on there is, there was a mom that just simply said, like, I don't want boys and the daughter in the girl's bathroom. And then obviously here comes the outrage. Now, I guarantee you most of the people there that came to speak and make they're not even from Deerfield. They're not even citizens. They probably don't even have kids in the school. They're mostly, I would actually want to interview them and see how many of them are professors from the local universities here that have a lot of free time and make money off this scam. And they should not be involved in disrupting the community affairs. So, they did say they allowed the Deerfield people to speak first, right, before the people from the outside spoke. But many of the people from Deerfield couldn't even get in, or they didn't want to wait in line because of all these people that were there that shouldn't even been there. So is that really captured? I remember going to our local school board meeting during the COVID, and they wanted to keep a ton of for some reason in the one room where the board meeting was, they had to limit the numbers of people because of COVID. But in the other gymnasium, there was double and triple the amount of people. They didn't want it for optics, for people to see how many people are actually there. It's all spectacle and optics. It's all trying to just manipulate. It's all PRAVDA. It's all lies. It's not truth. Another thing I want you to pay attention to is when, you're trying to read an article and there's a think tank that's being quoted and sourced, and they project themselves as non-biased or nonpartisan. Look up the think tank. And they gotten crafty. I will say, 4 or 5 years ago I would do this, and it was right in your face what their politics were, and it was all over the place. All the buzzwords would be there. Now they're a little bit craftier. So now you have to go look and find the board members, look them up. I kind of did it with that homeschool group. If you listen to the homeschool app, where you go to the homeschool group that's supposedly pro-homeschool, you go to their website, they're anything but, and those are the ones coming up with the crafting of policy. But you look at these board members, and they're all affiliated with certain organizations, with certain people that are very biased and have a very Marxist worldview, globalist worldview. The citizen of the U.S. is not important. We're global citizens. We shouldn't have rights, central power, all coming out of the same orthodoxy. I wanted to get that out there. I've had people ask me, how do you sort through the lies and figure out what's true? Study the truth. Study the real deal, and then you'll start picking it up. Keep seeking and find the truth.
Sing it!
Thanks for joining us for another episode. I hope I got you thinking and out of your comfort zone. Believe me, the biggest fear your government has is a population that is thinking and talking to one another. So get out there, take a risk, start a conversation, make a friend, and reason with each other. Share the show with someone who you think needs to hear it. I wish you peace and love.